rocky, dogged, or sailing smooth. Page 229. Don't lose yourself just because you found somebody. If the things we value most are not aligned with our partner, how can we ever expect our relationship to be successful? Anytime you experience conflict with someone, it's because they have trodden on the things you value most in your life. No one likes the values they live by or what they stand for to be trampled on or questioned. Our values are our life because we use them as the sole decider of our choice. If you have ever been uncertain when making a decision, it's because you were still unsure of what you valued most in that situation. Many people settle for someone who have vastly different values than them and who stands for completely different things. The importance of something to them is lesser or greater than it is to their partners. Is it any wonder why these relationships continue to clash? Attraction. Attraction. Is it any wonder? Wealth. Attraction, wealth, social status, loneliness, and emptiness are just a few factors that will make us hang around. I highly advise putting someone's core values at the top of your list if you want a fulfilling relationship. If you are unhappy in your relationship now because of this clash and you know the person will never change, not that they have to or even should, then it's time to reassess and make a decision. Furthermore, people confuse just with love. People obsess over someone they just met or think they like someone they don't even really know. We then crave attention from them, and being ignored by the only person you want attention from is one of the worst feelings. We have all felt it, but when you look deep enough, you realize that the person you are really craving attention from is yourself. I think when we feel vulnerable to someone else's attention, it's life telling us that we are not giving ourselves enough. It's usually a bit of a self-neglect that gets up to such a needy stage, and in a sense, that person was the wake-up call. You need to learn how to love yourself again. Stop letting your happiness be dependent on someone else's mood. The qualities that we value most, the standards on the top of our list, and the morals that mean the most to us shape our life. Some of the things you value most could be respect, communication, going on vacations with someone. However, someone else might have a different view of those things. They might consider texting you back 3 days later acceptable. When you feel like that is an unacceptable lack of communication. You might feel like following through on plans you have made with someone is a sign of maturity and integrity, where someone else may not really care or think twice about not following through. I believe there is a level of compromise, but I also think there is only so long we can live with things we don't really accept or respect. A partner should help you feel secure, not make you feel like you are constantly walking on eggshells. Even though people have different values, we all have the same needs. One of those needs is to be loved for who we really are, not who we pretend to be. We need someone with similar values to help us grow. If we feel as though someone lives by a different charter of values, we will always have a lack of understanding and frustration toward them. We may even feel that the person is slowing us down. I am not saying you should not be with someone who has different traits. What I am saying is to look hard at what values that person stands for in their life. The myth of never going to find someone again is just that, a myth. Don't be fooled in time. You will. Ex-partners plays a very important role in our destiny. They make us see what we definitely don't want. So what we do want become clearer. I think it's wasting our life being with someone that you don't really want to be with. We make ourselves believe that it's so hard to follow our truth, but it is much harder living a lie. Continually remind yourself of the greater plan and why you have actually decided to leave. Your mind will play tricks on you, but essentially that deep voice inside will not hesitate to be brutally honest. I personally directed my thoughts and feelings to the notion of being free from the emotional chains that were holding me back, and I would visualize living my own life. The hard reality is that one person usually gets hurt a bit more than the other, but you are not really hurting them in the long run. In time, they will know that because it's far more selfish being with someone that you don't really want anymore. You will be doing both of you a massive favor, and it's okay if they don't see it right away. If you have been on the receiving end of a breakup and have a broken heart, I have a message for you from my own experience. You are only really in a battle with yourself. You are more frustrated with the fact that you allowed yourself to be treated that way, upset with letting yourself go, losing who you are and sacrificing so much. But I applaud you for your courage to bear your heart on your sleeve. It's the only way to truly experience love. The challenge is within you, not against the other. The mission is to regain your own trust, get yourself back, and rebuild the beautiful relationship you once had with yourself. And it will happen. All the best on your journey to find an even higher plane of being, a deeper fulfillment, a better understanding of yourself. We should not have a partner to fill our emotional gaps with their presence. They should be there to complement the gaps we have already filled and help us find a way to fill the ones we have not. Docked. You want to come into my life, the door is open. You want to get out of my life, the door is open. Just one request, don't stand at the door. You are blocking the traffic. Unknown. If you are just waiting to set sail, then you are at an absolutely great point. By making the right decisions and taking appropriate action, you will attract someone like never before. That dream person won't be a fairy tale so much as a reality waiting to happen. As I mentioned earlier, what you focus on you will be sure to find. If we say, for example, I don't want someone who is disrespectful, or I don't want someone who is selfish, then you can bet you are going to notice it everywhere. Remember back in the focus and find section discuss the reticular activating system in your brain. The RAS is always working, but in order to make it work in your favor, you have to direct your focus intelligently. We usually carry luggage from previous experiences that tarnishes any new ones. We will continue to focus all our energy on the particular traits that we now know we definitely don't want, but it still creates a block in front of us. How can we really be hugged if we have our guard up? Let's give an example. You once had a partner with whom you did not match too well, hence they are now an ex. Now you are thinking back and believing that all guys or girls are the same, and you hold on to that belief. You think about it, dwell on it, and more important, you reinforce it. You have an unconscious notion always ready to display itself with every person you meet. In truth, what hope do you really give someone new with that mindset, regardless of how they might act. It will totally change the way you approach the situation. So the situation will change. Your tone of voice, the types of people you are attracting, your body language, and your snap judgment all play a vital role. It's as if you wait in anticipation for someone to mess up so you can prove yourself right. They could say or do something very innocent, but to you it's catastrophic because you will relate anything back to your belief. Then you wonder why the same challenges seem to arise and every person you meet has the same faults. I don't believe in coincidence. We attract things. However, even if you believe in it, don't you think it's gone past the point of coincidence? If there is a constant pattern, are you the one who needs to start making changes? On the flip side, you could shift your mindset. You could acknowledge that your ex was not what you wanted. So you now know what you don't want in a person. And more important, you now have clarity about what you do want. If you keep dwelling on what you don't want, all you do is replay your old relationship over and over again with everyone you meet. You might even turn bitter and cringe at the sight of a loving couple with that attitude who would want to be with you. You need to focus on the things you want in order to make the changes that will align with your dream partner. When you make change, the vibe you give off with scream. I am ready to embrace someone now, new. In saying that, sometimes we focus on what we want so hard it shows itself and then we think it's too good to be true. Opportunities to crash and you really want display themselves many times in your life. But it is up to you to grasp them. All change starts with you. Attracting a dream partner. To create something different, you must do something different. Before we go to the grocery store, we should write down a list of what we want. If we don't, then it seems we just walk around and settle for things that we never wanted in the first place. We will buy some chocolate even though we went there to buy broccoli. We will get home, eat it, and then kick ourselves for buying it in the first place. Most important, we forgot the broccoli. If you are getting my drift, in order to get what we really want out of a life partner, we must make it real. We must have a clear indication of what we actually want in life to get it. All things manifested begins as a creation in our mind, which we should then seal by writing it down. This will allow you to refer back to that seed and remind yourself of what you really want. That will enhance the reality by providing more visibility. Just keep in mind that we don't always get what we want, but there are certain things we must have. Never settle for less than the must, but be lenient with the wants. I would not reject someone because they did not have the size 8 fit I envisioned, and I would not be taking my seat along to a date. Don't be like a strict school teacher marking the seat with every word they say. Things don't always turn out exactly the way you create them in your mind, but make sure the fundamentals are in place and you get the same feeling. The present does not always come wrapped with a ribbon, but that's your chance to go and put one on, because you are going to help that person grow as well. It should not be so much about what you can take from this person, but what you can give. Don't be one of those love hoppers. That's what I call them. Anyway, all they do is jump from one person to another, just hoping the right person will pop up one day. I am sure we all know someone who has barely broken up with one partner and is already with another. But you hear the same story, which is, I just can't find the one. Instead, have faith initially and use your power to be as certain as possible. Task 1. Clarification of what you want. Write down what you want and must have in a life partner, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially. Write down everything. Remember an example would be I want someone who is respectful, not I don't want someone who is disrespectful. People always seem to write down what they don't want. Make sure you write down what you want. Now that you have written down your perfect match, ask yourself these questions. Why would they want to be with me? What would I have to do in order to attract someone like that? If I was that exact person on my list and went on a date with me, would I want to go out with myself? These questions demand that you are completely honest with yourself to get great answers and find areas for growth. If you have written down that you want someone who is fit and healthy, you can bet they are not going to want to be with someone who does not look after their body or who eats McDonald's every day. If you are out getting drunk all the time, but you have written down that you want someone who is in touch with their spiritual side, that's a conflicting belief. If you must have someone who is happy, would they want to be with someone who has permanent phone and does not enjoy life? These are just a few examples, but I am sure you get the drift. We try to make ourselves believe that we can get things we want without making changes first. We must gain the balance of what we want and what we are going to do to get it, because that will ensure our confidence as well. Task 2. Making change. Go back to your list and note what you can do in order to attract someone like that. Find what you need to change to align yourself with those attributes on the list. For example, if you want someone who has a cheerful demeanor, but you are in a permanently sore mood, then you may have a conflict. Work on your attitude. Task 3. Pick your environment intelligently. I would also take note of the environment in which you wish to meet someone. We must pick our environment intelligently so we can increase the chances of meeting that person on our list. If you want someone who has a lot of mental strength and is family oriented, I don't think you are going to find them at the local sports bar on a Tuesday night. If you want someone who is healthy, your chances are slim of finding them dining at KFC. You would have a much greater chance at the salad bar down the road, but I would not be taking the KFC bag along with you. Just a tip. My friend always wanted someone who was spiritual while being very social. He was going to nightclubs and getting drunk beyond repair every week. He would then ask me why he could not find anyone that matched what he wanted. Simple, I told him that if he goes to a nightclub, maybe he should not get drunk before looking for a girl who is a sober. He should stay sober. That way, he won't be attracting the opposite of what he is looking for, and he will be a lot more appealing to the girl who is sober. It's quite simple when you think about it, but that's exactly what you have to do. Think about it. If you want to find that person, make sure you are looking in the right spots. The last and most important aspect is to be patient. Never settle because of impatience. That will surely bring unhappiness and is not fair to the other person. Great things come to those who are great. In order to see something as great, you must understand greatness. Invest in your own growth first and make changes to become great within, and you will attract others accordingly. Fear of getting sick. Some people fear getting into a relationship because they believe they will be giving up their independence. We like to think we are independent, which means we don't depend on anyone or anything. Realistically, we are always depending on ourselves. So it means We are dependent creature. We depend on the grocery store to have our fruits and vegetables. We depend on people to buy our products. We depend on family and friends when we want comfort. We depend on the rain so we can drink water. So we are always dependent throughout our life. It is okay to depend on others because we are all in this together. The challenge is finding the balance between your independence and what role it has, and the role of your dependence. This is a common social challenge as many people have the idea that a relationship is restrictive. Again, if you attract what you must have in a person, then you will truly complement each other. Don't be scared to be dependent, but never base your complete happiness on another individual. You are the only one who can truly fulfill yourself. Sailing is smooth. If you are already steady on the ship and have been for quite some time, keep doing what you are doing. You can email me and give me some pointers. I am always up for learning. There is always room for growth, though, so you can still use these tips and strategies from vibrant couples I spoke with. If you want your relationship to enter that calm area, this next part is also for you. Your average pupil. Couple 1. I asked this vibrant couple that attend the gym. I used to work at it, at if I could sit down and speak to them. They had recently gotten engaged and agreed to take part. I found out that their relationship had been on the rocks, but they were able to save it, and they said it was actually stronger now than ever. About 1 year before we spoke, they were about to separate over a miscommunication. I was surprised to hear that their relationship had nearly come to an end. The guy had put on over 40 pounds in a matter of months, and she felt as if she was caught in a dilemma. In a way she was, because her physical attraction to him had started to decline and she was concerned about his health. That might seem harsh, but being healthy and fit was something she wanted in her partner, so it's not wrong at all. The difference between a friendship and an intimate relationship is attraction, so it plays a major role. Looks might not always be the reason someone loses their attraction. It could be a shift in attitude, mood swings, inconsistency, or irrational behavior. She was also attracted to how in control and strong he was in his life, but that had diminished as well. Anger repressed can poison a relationship as surely as the cruelest words. Dr. Joyce Brothers. One day she decided to tell him that he should start getting healthy and fit again. Taking the advice the wrong way, he began to feel insecure and thought that she might cheat on him. He became paranoid and stopped trusting her even to go to the supermarket. She said it was killing her because she loved him to death and never wanted to hurt him. But she told him that she could not handle the lack of trust anymore and was close to leaving. This caused his pain threshold to hit the maximum. So he decided to finally sit down and face what she had to say. After communicating properly, he said in a sarcastic voice, "I don't believe you are getting to do anything differently." The next day she went and bought them both a gym membership. That's what I call enormous initiative. They began going to gym twice a week, and now they are doing 5 sessions a week. It's a part of their life, and he assured me that he drags her out of bed most times. And now they both look great, but most important, they feel great. He is soaring with confidence. Their business profits have increased, and he told me that looking the way he had, he would have left him too. What a great way to share time together while also looking after their health. They motivate each other and have fun. They help each other grow and always try to find a way to push past their life and their limits. Empowering tip: Always communicate how you feel and exercise together. Couple 2. This couple was about to get engaged, but they had hit a rough patch. Their relationship was built on trust, so they would spend a lot of time apart and with their friends. They noticed that their engagement with each other had declined, so they decided to sit down and communicate properly. They discovered that they had been seeing each other far less than they used to, and that their formerly frequent trips away together had been put on hold for quite some time. Both of them decided to get into action. They agreed to cut down on their separate social lives and save money for at least one weekend away from every 2 months. They did not say, "We don't have the money," but instead took appropriate action to get the money. Going on trips with people has been proved to enhance many relationships and friendships alike. If you have ever been away with close friends, I'm sure you have experienced the bond that can form. Yes, some people do crash on trips. We are human, not perfect, but overall it does work. This couple assured me that they would never take each other's presence for granted again and recognize that their effort really did get the right results. The tip here is to engage more with each other. Don't take the things for granted that once built your bond. Take action and do fun activities together. One guy I was coaching in a similar situation with his partner told me that he did not have the money for trips away, and then I found out that he was spending a minimum of $250 on alcohol every week. This is just an example. But seriously, how important is your relationship? Is it not more important than the beer you buy each week? Then it's not that important. If you are committed, you will make the money and find the time. There is always a way. Empowering tip: go away with your partner or take up activities that are new to both of you. Do stuff that is fun and makes you feel great. Couple 2. We all know that when a woman asks for your opinion on clothing, she is most likely going to do it her own way anyway. But it's one of the great things we have to appreciate. When a woman tries on a new outfit that she just bought and asks her partner what he thinks, he did better say it's look good, because he probably won't know the difference anyway. She will then ask again, causing her partner to rethink and say, "Yeah, but I like the other one too." Then she will say, "Why? What's wrong with this one?" And her partner might reply, "Nothing, it's nice. I thought you just wanted my opinion." Then the final says, "Well, I like this one, so I am going to wear it." The partner is left divided. And just as they are walking out the door, the question comes, "Are you sure about this one?" I personally love this, because if women were not like that, guys would probably be walking around the streets naked. Women will willingly go shopping alone, but men don't stand a chance. We are too scared to bring something home that our partner does not like, because we know we will be going straight back for a refund, not by force, but because we accept their expertise in the matter. And if they don't like it, then neither do we anymore. All men know they need a great woman, and the saying, "We can't live without them," is definitely a true one. The last couple I spoke with have been married for 18 years and are still going strong. They have 3 kids, and it's hard to see them without a smile. I desperately wanted to know what their secrets was, and they willingly agreed to give me some of their time. The first quality that this couple has always been adamant about his honesty. And they assured me that they try their hardest not to tread on each other's toes, but will always be there to help the other grow. The husband totally respects his wife's role, and the wife respects his expertise in certain areas. Always willing to listen to each other due to their mutual respect. They are helping each other fulfill their dreams. They also let me know that both being highly involved in their children's lives has had a great impact on their marriage. They had never taken each other for granted and said it was their honest communication, no matter how much it could hurt at times, that has given them a long, strong relationship. In order to have a great relationship, it is imperative that we openly communicate how we are feeling on a constant basis. Keeping issues to ourselves could cause us to act selfishly and irrationally, and that's usually how the battle continues. Empowering tip: be honest, communicate properly on a daily basis, appreciate even the smallest things, respect each other's dreams, and always be willing to lend a helping hand. Now that's what I call success. Summing it up, these are just a few many couples that all say the same things. So many people attempt to save a relationship by giving material gifts. Your partner might not want a Gucci bag or a new watch, but instead might want just a hug. They may not want a vacation or to be taken out for dinner or bought roses. They might want you to actually listen to what they have to say and be present. I would not go into business with someone who lacks communication skills. I would not build a friendship with someone who lacks them. And I definitely would not get into a relationship with someone who does not make the effort to communicate. Why would I? It reflects the lack of respect and structure they have in their own life. To engage with your partner is absolutely crucial if you want a fulfilling relationship. If only more people are actually engaged in their relationships before someone got down on one knee to propose, there might be fewer breakups. It's usually the things most people take for granted that build a strong relationship. There is no greater relationship than the one between those who are self-aware. Friendships are such a beautiful thing. It is where one soul trusts another to find comfort and liberation on this journey. This is the end of page 242, chapter 17. Now move to chapter 18. The importance of peers. Keep away from those who try to belittle your ambitions. Small people always do that, but the really great make you believe that you too can make great. Mark Twain. I was in a pet store to buy my nephew a fish, and I explained to the worker that I could not have one that would grow too large because it was only going in a bowl. He assured me that I had nothing to worry about because most fish will only grow in proportion to the size of their environment and then stop. What a great analogy for the way humans seem to adapt to the people they associate with and the environment they surround themselves with on a daily basis. Everything in the world survives by adapting to its environment. The horny lizard in North America is one of many animals that have proved this. It mainly eats ants and has formed thick scales to prevent being bitten while having its platter of bugs. But the hunter can always be hunted. So when its worst enemy, a coyote, shows up, it needs to protect itself. Through evolution, this lizard has developed the ability to shoot blood out of its eye at its attacker. The blood amazingly has canine repellent chemicals in it to irritate coyotes in particular. Humans are no exception in being able to adapt to their environment. You don't have to be a genius to figure out that you will become like those you associate with. So it means you must choose whom you spend most of your time with intelligently. The reason is that the wrong choice of associates could prevent you from growing. What you feed your mind is what's going to come out of your life. If you feed it garbage all day, what results are you going to get? How are you going to feel? When I was 13 and getting myself into trouble with some other teens, my grandfather told me When you hang around garbage, you start to smell, and I am sure we are all quite aware that some of the actions of men are nothing short of that garbage. It's one of the boldest but truest statements I have ever heard. I'm not telling you to go and dump your buddies, but I would be saying them in small doses if they contradict what you want to achieve. Some might need to be shown the door if your truth is telling you it's the best option. If you really want to learn Chinese but you hang around people who speak Spanish all day, which language are you more likely to pick up? There are moments in your life when you must act even though you cannot carry your best friends with you. Mahatma Gandhi. Most times we condition ourselves unconsciously with mental, verbal and physical action similar to those of our peers. We also do this to satisfy our urge for social significance and an acceptance. Sometimes we feel that if we make significant changes, our friends will think we are stupid or crazy. Guess what? Sometimes they do. We then have to ask ourselves if they are seeing our positive changes that way, are they really reliable friends? Your dearest friends might also ridicule you, but they usually do it out of love. They feel as if they are losing you, or your positive change might make them feel insignificant by beginning to excel in your life. It may finally show them how unproductive they are being in their own life. I understand that no one wants to do that to their friends, but you must acknowledge that it is no reason to stop living the best life you possibly can. At the end of the day, it's their proposal, personal issue, and all you can do is communicate properly. Some people find it most difficult to understand in the beginning, but they will eventually if they are real friends. I also love when so-called friends throw out the comment, you only live once. People say it in the face of smoking, drugs, or even criminal activity. Really, what they should be saying is, you only live once, so here go and kill yourself, start a habit, or do something that could mean spending the next 10 years in jail. I think nearly every time I have given in to that line, I have known that it was a mistake and I definitely paid the price. Stop expecting a closed-minded person to have an open-minded conversation. Do you ever wonder whether people are using that line for your benefit or for theirs? Something to think about, isn't it? An intelligent response would be, yes, I only live once, so why would not I live the best way I know how? Doesn't that just make a bit more sense? You might think that the options are fun in the face of that comment, but I ask you to have a deeper look and you will realize that what you might think is fun could actually be causing you emotional and mental torment. I often hear people complaining about being pressured into doing something they did not want to do. It's a pretty pathetic excuse because they are only attempting to avoid their own accountability. They should be taking responsibility and finding out how to strengthen their mind. You are the one who has to answer. To protect when you lay your head on the pillow. Why have not I achieved? Why did I do what I did? Why am I in a distressed state right now? No one but you can find answers that will satisfy you. So learn to take charge of your life and ignore outside influences that you know will make you doubt yourself. A real friend is one who walks in when everyone else walked out. Walter Winsel, who really cares about the life, about the what the people who judge the great changes you are making think. I am sure they are not quick to lend you a helping hand on your journey. The people who ridicule your productivity the most are the ones who are jealous, have no clue about life, and if you look carefully, are the ones living miserably with no sense of direction. Have you ever noticed how negative people spend most of their time with other negative people. Do you want to stop following your dreams and end up like them? I don't think so. Those who don't believe in you don't believe in themselves. As I mentioned earlier, I was teased, ridiculed, and told I was crazy on a daily basis just for loving life more than I used to. They said my ideas would never work, but they were soon very surprised. My vision and passion were far too strong to let anyone stand my way. Yes, it crossed my mind to stop many times, but that's when you must be at your strongest. And when you get past one hurdle, the next one seems that little bit easier. Instead of curling up in a wall and giving up, I used it as fuel to drive me even further and create an even deeper hunger. Sometimes people take the great things you are doing as a personal attack on their own life. Do not let their insecurities dishearten you. Great people construct monuments with the stones critics throw at them. Robin Sharma. I discussed my change with a close friend one day, and this was his reply. I know you are making change, and I am happy for you. But I did prefer you did not discuss all this stuff with me. I am always here for you, though. I respected that so much, and he is still a friend, because it was his choice not to hear about the lessons I was discovering with myself. I did not storm off and get angry, but really appreciated that he was honest, and eventually he did come and ask for advice, and I was more than happy to help. Tell your friends about your change, but don't try to force your beliefs onto others, because that will most likely send them the other way. If you are making great changes in your life, it will be evident to those around you, and they will come and ask you how you did it. If you have modeled any successful person, you would see that they were always willing to pick their peers carefully. If you wanted to become a great painter, then you would not hang around someone who is good at the drums and try to speak to them about how to paint. Hang drum and get advice from those in the same industry. Don't be shy about going straight to the top or to the best person you know in the field. A true friend is someone whom you can act like a complete idiot in front of and not be the slightest bit embarrassed. Try your hardest to keep this friendship. It is the closest we get to being a child again. When I was doing personal training, I would notice that most times when two overweight people would sign up together, they would not last very long. On the other hand, when I saw someone who was overweight train with someone who was fit, they would soon be looking quite fit. That's not being harsh at all. I am just stating that stating what I saw. I got into that industry because I care about people's well-being. So the last thing I would do is ridicule someone. It's just the way it is. And if you want to be a certain way, then you must start associating with it. If you want to achieve something great, pick the brains of those who you know have a clear history of achieving. Ask them what their secrets are. When asking, be humble, enthusiastic, and keen to learn. If you go up to those people with a big ego, you can bet they will probably show you the door. Let them know that you are driven and will do anything to learn the trades. Even if you are a millionaire but having trouble breaking the barriers of hitting your next 10, ask someone who has. Read up on other success stories. They were probably in the same predicament at your stage but found a breakthrough. It does not matter how advanced we think we are. There is always someone out there we can learn from. When you associate with some people who are great at what they do, you are forced to step up to the greatness. It's the same as adapting to our environment. We eventually learn to live that particular way to keep up. In business and networking, be humble but never gullible. Associate yourself with people of good quality. For it is better to be alone than in bad company. Booker T. Washington. Thank you very much for listening. This is the end of part 4, page 248 and chapter number 18. Thank you very much.